Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth, shifting you into higher consciousness. A show that elevates, uplifts, and encourages listeners to grow, heal, awaken, and evolve. Eden and Kim include bold topics, interviews with inspiring guests, experts, and celebrities, intuitive readings, channeled messages, mental health awareness, and hot topics to expand your awareness. Tune in for unprecedented truth, authenticity, on-purpose discussions, and magic.
It can be so scary to actually acknowledge what we're being asked to acknowledge. And so it's like, I'll give an example of how I used to operate. I'd end a relationship and weeks later I'd jump into another one so I didn't have to feel what came up from those wounds. And then all I'm doing is essentially like I still, and it's, said with zero judgment for anyone who is experiencing this. But what I found, I always say I dated the same man, different face over and over and over again.
Yeah. So is that, I was going to ask you the question about pain body. So you just brought that up. Explain pain body to us. And also, can we shift from repeating those patterns in our lives that hold us back?
Yeah. So I will share it from my personal humble experience and through what I've learned about it. So with the pain body and what I refer to as these pain body loops, it's kind of what we were just chatting about. So with the pain body, again, it's like these deeply seated wounds, right? And oftentimes it can be tied to like the mother wound and the father wound, which then kind of ripple out, at least in my experience, like oftentimes like core wounds that we've experienced through our childhood, through growing up. And oftentimes it's tied to like how we had to stay safe because our authenticity and the way we showed up as children in our light, like wasn't received. And so we're like, ooh, okay, well, it's not received. Now I need to stay safe. And so I'm going to agree to this story, which isn't true, right? Mm-hmm. So these pain body loops will continue. What I found is they'll continue to like kind of show up on repeat in the unconscious. So when we bring some awareness to these things, and when we have, because the pain body brings us into this state of collapse. So I say there's a difference between like going into like that pain body collapse rather than like when we're healing, we're actually alchemizing it. So one of my mentors calls this like erecting the rod principle. And I'm going to try to like kind of bring it down to earth a bit. So we have like the divine mother templates and the divine father template. So this divine masculine template, if we think of it as a rod principle, like erecting into our root to hold us up, coming up all the energy field, right? So what that does is it stabilizes the feminine. It gives the feminine a place to rest. And most of us have had all these inversions running through our field, which again, we'll just say that that's like all the stories that aren't true, all the density, like all the painful stuff. And so what happens for a lot of us, especially I've noticed, I can speak from the lens of like women and people I've seen, we go into these experiences and we have an experience where, maybe we get broken up with, or we lose our job, or we have no money, and we go into these cycles of collapse. We can't create from collapse because when we're in that collapse, it's just the dense emotion. But if we're not aware of how to move that out and how to rebuild that, erect that rod principle, then it's like oftentimes, okay, we'll come out of it. What I found is it just shows up again and again and again.
Yeah.
Because we all are emitting a certain frequency, and we can say, affirmations all day long, but if your predominant frequency, and when I say frequency, for those of you who that might be like listening, that might be like new language, like the predominant beliefs that you have. So let's say you were in a family where it was a lot of poverty consciousness, or, you didn't have enough money, and that can, go back ancestrally as well. Then oftentimes it's like those programs, if we think of it so simply as just energetic software programs running in the background, you can say I'm abundant all day long, but if your predominant energy blueprint and instructions that you're sending out are opposite, you may get a little bit of that goodness, but then it's like almost like running two contradicting software programs.
Oh, that's very valid. And I love the way you explained it. I hope it's going to open people's eyes. I've always known something like this at the higher level, but I've never really been able to explain it in this way. So
I
I
know
Yeah.
it has to resonate. I really am
appreciate it.
trying to like bring it down to earth because
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like the version of me 10 years ago would have been like, what is this woo-woo lady talking about?
yeah,
At
yeah,
the end of the day too, though, it also like, even if you don't fully understand it, you're still getting those seeds and you're still getting those codes. So just, allow that to be an opportunity to get those little like tidbits, even if you're analytical mind, because, as humans, we love to mentally understand things, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to fully mentally understand it, but like deeper at a cellular level, like your higher self, all the isness of you already knows.
yeah.
So how would you suggest, like, I love how you said you're doing it in a way where it's more down to earth. So let's say someone's listening and they go, okay, well, I know that I have, that repeating cycle of things going on. And I know I have stuff that was unconscious beliefs from my upbringing or family or whatever. And I don't know how to figure those out and address them and start to move forward. Like, what's like something simple they can just start with?
I will give you the most simple thing that you don't have to pay anybody for, and that is your breath. It's a balance of internal and external, because what I found in my life, the first half of my life, I was all external. I was like, I got to go get all the things. I got to go get all the, the degrees and the house and the career. And I arrived and I was like, this ain't all it's cracked up to be. I was like, what the heck? They told me that this is what I needed to do, but I did it. And I'm like, not happy. So it is a combination of going within, and then also it's like, well, what are your deepest desires? And oftentimes it's like you can go deeper than that, because most people that are like, oh, I want this, this, and this, it's like, well, do you want that, or do you want the feeling that you get from having that thing? So do you want, I mean, I'm all down for like luxury and all that stuff. I love that stuff, but it's like also, a lot of times under that, people want to experience freedom. People want to feel worthy. So it oftentimes goes deeper. And I always invite people who are newer to this, who are like, okay, lady, but how do I start? To one, a tool that has been extremely powerful is just knowing your human design and also pulling your gene key chart. So your human design will give you a bit of a template on your soul's blueprint. And for me, it's been really helpful. I'm a sacral generator. So I was literally living in reverse of my design. I was trying to force everything to happen. And generators and manifesting generators are like 70% of the population. We're just meant to do what we love, respond to things, do what lights us up, send those ripple effects out. If 70% of the population was living in their design as generators, this place would already like turn around right quick.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as, Ascension, I just feel it's so tied to people really getting clear on, what are you here to do? What is your desire? And that is different for everybody. Some people desire to hold large sums of money, and they're templated to hold large sums of money. Some people are templated for simplicity, and, maybe they want to live in a cabin and write a book. That's why I say it's not one size fits all, and it's not black and white. So if you can start to get clear on what that is, and ways you can get clear is dialing it back to your childhood. Like, what things, if you can even, remember some of those things of like, what did you do when you were young that was like your passion, that brought you like into this place of joy? And so, and then you can take that action. So it's like a combination of getting really clear and also having that discipline, because a lot of people as well, they have all these lofty goals and desires, but there's like a missing component of discipline. So it's like, well, you say you desire these things, but you want to write a book, but that book ain't going to write itself. You got to sit down and write. So, and as that happens, I do feel like Ascension is just a process of you remembering who you are and ascending into your own truth and remembrance. And again, it's just so different for everyone, because we all have a unique soul frequency. So there's nobody else on the planet that's designed to bring the special sauce like each and every one person.
And remembering who you are, I just want to clarify that it's at the soul level, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's minus ego.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's an interesting thing too. Yes. Cause I mean, we live in physical bodies. So it's like, experiencing the things that we want to experience on this planet and, kind of navigating, like, is this coming from ego or is this like an aligned soul desire, which can take some practice. Like, my ego still comes to the party every now and again.
Oh yeah. That's something that's just kind of a part of us where we try to put aside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You also speak on stepping into goddess energy and the divine feminine. And I do end up talking to a lot of women that are not comfortable with letting out their femininity. And maybe they've lived in kind of positions where they were more the leader, or they were more in a masculine role, maybe at a corporate job or something like that. And so they almost have to relearn, like, oh, it's okay to wear flowing skirts or pink lipstick or whatever, or it's just letting it energetically out, being more feminine. And so can you talk more about how we can step into more of the divine feminine?
Oh yes. I love this one because I was one of those. There were times where I'm like, I should have been a dude. I'm like, I'm like, but no, I'm a woman. And I'm very actually, that's something I have been practicing. And I feel a lot of what has happened is, and this might get a little esoteric, but I'm being guided to go there. So a lot of it is tied to the hijacking of our womb space, and a lot of things that have really happened to siphon the feminine. And I'm not talking about the feminist movement or any of that stuff. I'm talking more about like reunification templates and a lot of the things that have gone on to really disconnect the feminine from her true power. A lot of even inverted polarity teachings that, come from like, oh, you got to behave in this feminine way and then the man will do what you want him to do. Like I personally, that doesn't resonate with me. Although like for the first year of my journey, when I moved, I was learning from someone who taught that. And I thought that was what the vibe was. And I learned very quickly that is just for me, it felt like a behavior manipulation. So to me, there's a difference between embodiment and knowledge, right? So embodiment is like actually bringing in the knowledge and living the knowledge. So it is just so funny that you asked that, because I'm really practicing bringing in, what feels good to me as the feminine. And I rarely ever wear lipstick. I'm always in gym clothes. And I was like, okay, I'm going to like wear a little lipstick and, like blow my hair out and stuff. But, that's all definitely personal as well. But a lot of it does start with our wombs, because as women, we have such a powerful, potent, untapped, creative channel from our womb space. And so like I said, there's just been a lot of hijacking in the womb. And, it's been several years where I've really been intentional about clearing out my womb, because it's a place where we can connect to that creativity. Because there's like almost like this, for me, I found there's like this place where there's this nothingness and then it births creation. It's where we get our creative downloads. And that's why learning to tune into your own unique intuition, your own unique expression, is that through what creative feminine practices do you feel like really bring that out? Like for me, it was singing and dancing, but now I've just translated that. I sing and dance in the car. My roommate, I was driving home one night and he was like, "You're waking the neighbors." He saw me driving. I was singing in the car. Like, and I just didn't even care, where the old me would have been like, "Oh my gosh, is he going to think I'm weird?" Like, I don't care anymore, because for me, it just felt like I was in the moment. I was flowing. And so it's that balance between like that more masculine structure and then that feminine flow, and being able to kind of channel both of those expressions, because I feel there are so many of the feminine that have just like that untapped space. And a lot of us have been through a lot of things I understand why, right? For those that resonate with past lifetimes and things of that nature, it can stem back to, when we were silenced for speaking our truth. Like speaking our truth could equal death. For me, I actually left a high school because I was told I had to give an oral presentation, and my nervous system was like, this equals death. And I left the school because I was like, I'm not doing that. I went back to my small private school. I was like, I couldn't do it. It was like my body went into like trauma response and shock. And at the time I was like on the basketball team, like it was my senior year. And I was like, I can't give an oral presentation. I'm going to die.
Thank you for listening to Talk Purpose and Truth podcast. Find out more at talkpurposeandtruth.com. And follow us at Talk Purpose Truth on Instagram and Facebook.